Warm greetings from Jaya School of Architecture. I welcome you all for this 15th session of the DECODE series. Today, we have architect SUMAIRAH KAREEM with us, who is going to present on a very interesting topic, architecture thesis, synopsis to jury, which definitely is going to be the need of especially for the final year students. I now welcome our young dynamic architect who is associated with Jaya School of Architecture, architect Mohammad Zain, to deliver the welcome address and also the welcome note for the guest speaker of the day. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. First of all, I welcome everyone for this wonderful opportunity, which is the DECODE Series 15, which is going to be an amazing topic. So, which is done by architect SUMAIRAH KAREEM. So, just to give an introduction about SUMAIRAH KAREEM, she is a young professional, and architect SUMAIRAH KAREEM is an architect by profession who completed her BArch and MArch from Anna University as the topper of her college and the university rank holder both in her UG and as well as PG. She is practicing architect and interior designer who has also been part of many award-winning international and national projects under her work experience at Oscar and Pony Architects, Chennai. Architect SUMAIRAH also ventures her creativity side into digital and graphic designing for her diverse professional clients in the field of and the chief digital designer for a content writing company. Projecting projecting as a personality with involvement as an online educator, organizing member for international events and inspiring motivational speaker. She's also continues to pursue her diverse works in the field of interior designing, architectural photography, like sketching and other creative arts. Architect SUMAIRAH is also a avid blogger who loves to write in her spare time on topics related to architecture, motivation, and lifestyle. From giving inspirational talks to several budding architects, to guiding many aspiring professionals through her adequate skills and sharing her experience of studying architecture, architect SUMAIRAH KAREEM is all set to deliver today's topic, which is architecture thesis, synopsis to jury for students of architecture, interns, and as well as professionals. So I just give it to SUMAIRAH KAREEM to take over from here.
Thank you. Thank you, each and every one of you, for giving me this opportunity for that warm welcome address. Everyone associated with this event from Jaya School of Architecture, very, very good evening. I'm architect SUMAIRAH KAREEM. It gives me immense pleasure being here. And I was very thrilled and very, very excited to be here and give this talk to all of you. Topic for today that I have taken is, which I'll be talking on, will be on architecture thesis, start to finish. And this is something, very close to me in profession terms. And, it gives me a lot of joy presenting this topic, to have done UG and PG both, and to have done a thesis twice. So I can pretty much relate to this. And these are the topics that I'll be covering. And to understand part one, why is thesis so important, how to choose the topic as mentioned. And part two is the relevant studies that goes into the project. Part three, what is the scope behind the legal framework itself, which includes the criteria of site selection and so on, developing concepts. And part four will be the design development and the final stage of presentation. And also a very interesting part at the end, how do you actually prepare for your final day of jury? Okay, so as I mentioned, sometimes a scream is better than a thesis. It's been written by a philosopher, a poet, who actually I can truly relate to this. So I just thought of adding this here. And moving on to what is our, why is thesis so important? You will see that, yes, ma'am, the next one. As I mentioned, weightage, a highly valuable part of your architectural learning experience. You get more credits to this than any other subject. And people ask about your thesis topic all the time. It's the chance to explore, the opportunity for you to discover the type of, the typologies you are interested. And it is the entire understanding of your knowledge in architecture in that one project at the end of your BArch journey. So this is your chance to explore. And moving on, So this is just beyond an academic necessity. Take it in that sense. It's all in one and one in all. So don't just take it as something, the last milestone to complete your BArch journey. And so how does one choose a thesis topic? What goes into it, that big struggle? Yes, as I mentioned, there is a three-way approach. You go with experience, or you try something new, or you combine interest and wonder. It can be anyone. And to moving forward, if you go with experience, what happens in experience is what that is something that you're already aware of, and you want to go forward with something that you liked it. So this is what you want to get in depth. Trying something new for the 5 years, you are like, okay, no, I have done this enough, I want to do this now. So that's how you explore. And combining both interest and wonder is, the word itself is self-explanatory. So moving on, we have the three-way approach, the method of that approach. How are you going to be dealing with this? First of all, you need to brainstorm a healthy self discussion with your ideas put together in a on paper, or discussion with your guides or staff or friends or anyone. A good healthy brainstorm session of the things that you're looking forward to and want to pursue in that project, after which you start your research on all those things that you have jotted down, and you filter that. And also, finally, to choose the one, you need to check it to confirm, like it's not mixing up with other people, people who have done the similar topic, and you don't have that problem of it being a project with a less scope. So these are the things you need to check to confirm. And moving on, we have how do you frame. So once you know that this is how I'm going to choose it, how do you frame the synopsis? That's when you start creating the right base. And in the next slide, you will see that why, once you select the synopsis, whenever you hear your topic, the title and subtitle is what catches catches the ears when it comes to this. It's the title, and it needs to be to the point. It can be a little catchy, and it can have a bit of twist in it as well. And if it's a live proposal or such, you think it is vital for you to add the location, then even better. So I mentioned few examples, like if you're doing a futuristic car museum, and it can be as simple as futuristic car museum, a race to the future. So a weaving silk center in Kanchipuram, or a space institution at Sriharikota launching learners. I hope you get the idea. Okay. So next, after the title and subtitle, is the thesis statement. Immediately after that, it has to be a very short description of what you want to do actually. And it should be obviously relevant to, it should not be longer than the title itself. If it's a shopping mall proposal, it can just be a modern shopping mall that aims to provide entertainment for all age groups and luxury retail outlets. So it can be a luxury branded shopping mall with with all the most best brands there. And you can, the thrust can be, it's for all age groups, and how you're going to circulate them, and which is their zone, what are the pockets you can focus on. So a little hint that comes is in your thesis statement. Okay. And so next is, once you've given the statement, an introduction is the most important thing. So explain what the project is all about, deliver a basic understanding, and deliver also just the right amount of information required, because you have a lot still to prove in your thesis. So an introduction of of a very small description would do. Okay. And next is why this project. You will be asked this till you finish your jury, and you have to be ready for it. And you have to state the reason. It can be very obvious, it can be very direct, it can be anything, but the reason is very, very important. Justification for your topic is all that matters at the end of the day in order for it to get approved. So state the actual intent of carrying out this proposal, the motive behind selecting this field of interest, It's a commercial, residential, recreational. What is it? Is it an industrial? How fascinated are you by this? What motivated you to do this? Okay. And next, why in this location and site? The suitability for a project is defined half by its site. So making it clear that this project will fit in right in this site is as essential and as crucial when you select the topic itself. So site exact details and features, everything must be specified in your synopsis itself. So prove it with research, prove it with justification, and with the right site. Okay. And next, we have the motivation. What got you motivated? As I mentioned, what can be a reason behind choosing a topic of your choice? Could that be a spark that ignited, between you doing architecture, saying, "Oh, why are we not doing this sort of a project? Why is it not that?" The urge to get innovative with your own design. What is that motivation that got you driven? These are the very common parameters that one looks for a synopsis, and one eventually you should be presenting to the panel itself. Okay. So the next we have is the aim and objectives. You have to define your ultimate goal here. So the motive behind the entire project is why this project, and the actual measures to be taken. Which issue are you addressing here? What is your objective for the project? Okay, what are you actually contributing from your side when taking up such a proposal? So an aim and objective is very important. And then we have the scope and limitations. As I mentioned, you have to be very well aware of how there's a lot you can do for a project, let's face it, and there's not everything that you can actually, with the 4-5 months you have in time for probably an undergraduate thesis, it is not enough to do everything. But what is the capacity of the project, and what is the possibilities of these outcomes? Okay, so frame that in my frame your boundaries, frame your project boundaries in mind, create limits that cover up and do justice to the project at the end of the day. Don't do too much, don't do too little. Okay. And yes, moving on, we have the special study and thrust area. When we say special study, every thesis focuses on a particular thrust, which stands like the basic the basic core of the entire, as the name describes, the thrust of the project is is the essence of it. So what is your area of focus here? It can be sustainability. It can, what is that core thrust that you're focusing on? What is it? What is the concept and ideology you're willing to adapt? And most importantly, how are you going to compare it with the rest of your project? How is it going to indulge in the thought process and design? Okay. So next we have the information of that thrust chosen. You need to have supporting facts. I can't stress on this enough. Thesis is so much about facts, research, references, everything right in front of you. So technical data for those researches and documentations must be at hand, and a set of mandatory studies is always being asked of you. I hope you guys can relate to the fact that thesis is a very elaborate project, unlike any other studio or semester design that you come across in your architecture course. So information for this thrust chosen is quite necessary. Okay. Yes. And then we have the conclusion to the synopsis. So why are you confident taking about it? You have justified it. What were the outcomes? And the final statement at the end, what are you going to do? So with that, we are at the part, we are almost at the end of part 1. Moving on, we have, not to forget, you need to mention your references, guys. This is something I truly stand by. This is to avoid plagiarism as such, making it clear what's your own, what's been taken, what's been inspired, what is that that you came to know through it. Okay, so mention your references, even if it's this involves in between your synopsis. Okay. And moving on, list of relevant studies. In part 2, we are looking at the studies that you need to do, and the mandatory studies that need to be taken care is literature. Obviously, I'll just skim through this very fast. Literature study, the types of projects that you need to look for, You already know you're taking this project and which are those projects that you need to study. So a literature on that you need to go through. And then we have a net case studies. You have minimum of 2. Probably you should choose a national and international for a broader understanding of the type of project you're choosing. And yes, this is something which I specifically mention always. I get asked this a lot as to what are the types of projects one chooses for this study. Only take those which provide enough data. There is no point taking in something so fancy and so good. It looks good and the design is great, things like that, but there's no enough data for you to study and look upon for your thesis for it. Don't take such a study. So check enough information on that and the data provided. Okay. Then we have book studies. This is something many of them overlook, but it's one of the also one of the studies that you need to take care of. So what is the ideology in the project, all the topics, make notes, make points that you find out from those book studies that you take part. Okay. And then we have case studies. We have special studies itself first. That is, for example, if you are doing in my case, I had to do a world class marine complex. So what could be my thrust? The thrust involved a study on aquarium, tanks, services, lighting, more on the underwater world, how all of that works, the services, that was one of the special studies, which was one of my parts in the in my UG thesis. So special study, don't forget this, along with your net case study, book study, literature and all. You have live case studies. Be sure of the location, where you're actually going. Make a list for all the students. I know you're well aware of it by now. And people who are going to do, keep those necessary documents and all ready, like bona fide and proof, identity, identity card and all that. So live case studies always involves, don't go to that place without the permission, without a person there, without a checklist in hand, what and all you need to go and see there, what are the things you need to go and actually study. What is the live case study all about? Don't go there blank, just, oh, I'm just going to go and visit it. It might work out. You might end up just taking a couple of photographs, but unless you have it written and set what are the things you need to actually go and look for, it won't be a successful live case study. Okay, do a minimum of 2, so that would be enough. And basic parameters also include location, surrounding land use, total site area, setback restrictions, zoning restrictions and approach, and so on. Okay, and then we have comparative analysis. So once you have all this study, what are the things that you have all this study with you, you have all this information, research, things like that. Why is it so necessary to take forward to your how to say, take it forward to your thesis? Where is it helping you? Okay, we are going to see that now. And in the next, you'll see, just for a comparative analysis, you have to look at each project in these aspects as mentioned: climatic, spaces, form analysis, user analysis, functional, material, landscape, parking, services. All these analysis, it's nothing but putting down all the projects on one side, creating a tabular column, putting these parameters, and then cross-checking each to know what went wrong, what was right, what can I infer from this and not take in my project, how am I going to make it better. That's the analysis the study help for at the end of the day. And depending on your project scale and type, this might even increase. Okay, this is the basic ones that I mentioned. Okay, moving on. We have site selection criteria. And in this, as I mentioned, the site takes up a responsible amount of your project success. So choose it right. Don't go wrong with this. Okay. As I mentioned, the half your battle is won when you choose the right site. You will be questioned just like why this project, just like you'll be asked why this site, why here. Okay. So make sure of that. Don't go wrong with this. Information on site selection, justification to be presented, basic site details, check for projects which related in and around the site, and even better if they are live proposals. Okay, that will even work even more practically. You can envision that possibility, or if it's a live proposal. Okay. And next we have an example. So in case it's a recreational project and the site, what are the criteria in the site you need to see? The site, if it's a recreational, you should be sure of it's like a tourist spot. It should attract a lot of tourists. It should be close to hotels, restaurants, resorts. It should have good connectivity with other areas, a scope for future development and extension, and a reason for also it, when the project being added, it should enhance that place. So this is just an example that I've given for recreational. What are the things that you can actually look, the criterias? You can't just randomly say, this is the site, recreational will look good here, recreational can come here. You have to look at certain criterias. You have to go through certain parameters. Okay. Next, we have the analysis of the site on a very broad aspect. In the next slide, I have mentioned all of the analysis that you need to take care of. This is a lot, so I'll just read it across. It's self-explanatory. You will catch it as it goes. The site location, area dimensions, proximity study, site connectivity, closest landmarks, important public private buildings around the site, topography, vegetation, types of vegetation, soil type, water source, electricity source, site views from the road, what is the type of vehicle that go by, number of vehicles, even in depth, what's the context of the site, type of people living nearby, survey, what is the type of development that is in and around the site, occupation, a rough population, floating population in some scenarios, what is the boundary conditions of the site, strength, weakness, opportunity, the SWOT analysis, potentials, and site suitability analysis. If the parcel of land is too big, so the site suitability analysis is a huge role to play. Okay, so depending again on your project and scale, these are a number of things you need to keep in mind. Moving on to the scope behind the actual framework, what is the at the end of the day, what is the project going to look like once you have compiled the idea of everything that you have with the research, the inferences, you have the data, you segregate the data, you then select your focus points. As I mentioned, you can't do everything that you have researched for. There are certain things that you need to pick and say, okay, this is what I'm going to address, this is what I'm going to leave. So develop the design ideas based on your ideology. Include major milestones. Okay, there's no point in having a very you can go about with a very same static thesis, or you can go all in and add some great features and include those major milestones. Okay, next we have, to explain a little more depth, when I say compile data, I wanted to put this because this is going to be a manual. By manual, I mean not everyone actually keep their data till the end. They have it all over the place. Please don't do that. When you're doing an architecture thesis, it should be a manual once you're done with research, so that every now and then when you need to refer it, you need to do something regarding that, you have this with you, your own data manual which you have accumulated. Okay, and moving on, we have selecting your focus points. So what do you actually consider, how you are going to go about the project? Okay, then we have we can go on to the next slide. Developing ideas based on the typology. So here's when you actually, once you know your focus, you have your study in place, you can actually get an idea of what your design will start to shape like. This is when you need to start. This is why I've put one huge bulb and then there's a crushed paper, because what is it going to actually look like, what is it actually going to come out as, what's the ideology behind this. So go through multiple sessions of this brainstorming, and once you get your focus point right, to know what are the design ideas you want to generate out of this. Okay, next, including those major milestones, top level requirements. By top level, I mean the one that stand out, that you can't miss out, that focus on those major requirements more. Okay, combine all that and give it a more effective approach at the end of the day. Okay, next, We have developing concepts and schemes. You know, this is the interesting part. I'll, here where in the next slide, when you actually see what when you start developing the scheme, you're more in the design stage already, but then you have to go through the standard process of things like zoning, bubble diagrams, circulations, things. But you have to keep in mind of your thrust, of your study, of your inferences, of your focus points. So this is another just that phase which you need to cross eventually. So depict the relationship between the functional areas that you want to develop. What is the circulation? By the types of images on your screen, you can get an idea what I'm referring to. Okay, next we have the circulation. This is usually presented at two levels if you have a little larger site in place: a master plan level and a building level. Master plan level requires you to show the circulation between, if it's like a museum or things like a resort, circulation for staff, circulation for visitors, guests, and things like that, access to those services, and how are you having those pockets for, how are you differentiating that pockets for public, semi-public, and private accesses. Building level, how even master plan also, not to forget, between buildings itself, if there are multiple buildings in your site, that's something, then that circulation is also you need to think about. And at building level, how will the general flow of the building work, how vertically in terms of staircase, ramp, and so on, how does that go, and horizontally what happens. Okay, next we have concepts and ideology, the essence of your project, an exciting part for almost every architect out there, to start sketching, to start getting that design thing running in the head. I can't wait to enter the design stage, and or some saying, oh my god, it's the design stage itself. So that is one thing, and the motive behind this should be that you stick to your ideology. I can't stress on this enough. Put together the topics which you took in your research, the theme of it, the thrust of it, develop your concepts based on that. See references, see your own synopsis, get the idea from what will be the identity of my own project. Okay, next, project requirements and details. Next, consolidation of that. Okay, a final list of what are your spatial categories, how will you be listing this out, and make sure you have not just these requirements, as I mentioned, the top level priorities of requirements in this list, which is the highlight of your project. And keep in mind those basic requirements, something like number of toilets, services, percentage of circulation, so that when you have your data manual, which is your research done, if you look for there and you see like, okay, 8%, 10% circulation, and I have got somewhere about 20, no, I have to cut it down, what can I do? So this is something that actually puts your things in numbers. Okay, so provide sufficient data for your, collect enough regulation and data for your spaces and requirements, and keep in mind the standards and bylaws for that. Okay, moving on. Carrying out design decisions, we are in the last part of our talk. The decoding process. What is the decoding process? We know the design, we have figured out the concept, we know what are we doing. But when it comes to addressing the issues here, when it comes to actually break the project down, there are three things which actually make up the whole point. It's the issues that got you driven to do the project. It's the focus on which you are, which is helping you do the project, and what is your design. Okay. Next, the issue is something, as mentioned, you're addressing it in your own topic. You're addressing that specific thing. That's my timer going off. You're addressing that specific topic and highlighting major concerns for which you will provide the solutions. So, and then once you have your issues done, you have to build over that idea. Okay, you have to build over that idea. In the next slide, you can probably see there can be issues of many on a larger scale, but you have to take that approach for a key design decision. It can be climate change, urbanization, sustainability, and safeguarding the global sustainability as an issue. But doing that on a smaller scale won't do justice to your own project, or might not end up as a successful project itself. A larger issue will require a larger solution, but there is also another saying that the smallest of solutions only sum up to be the bigger, smallest of innovations end up to be the bigger part of the solution. So you can look at that aspect. So if you're seeing the projects, if that faces your like urbanization and stuff, you have to deal something with the urban design project. So that's how your issues start to come in place. Okay, pinpoint that and go forward. Okay, in the next we can see the focus. So this is an example for all of you to understand what focus it is. As you guys know, there is the UN has come up with SDG goals, which is the sustainable development goals, and they came up with 17 of them. So if something like this is just for an example, these were their goals, and if your inspiration, your motivation to do a thesis was to choose one of these goals because a site or your interest fell in one of these. For example, the issue of degradation of urban habitat. So the approach through this will be urban revitalization and schemes from the government. Then that's the focus. You get where the link is. Okay, so don't forget to choose your goal, choose your focus in this place. Design decisions, a vision statement, propose strategies for the project, ways to address them in the design, softwares that you need to take a look at, and the concepts that have been accompanied by the study model in the design solution itself. So these are critical stuff when it gets real. Okay. Next, we have the design development stages. In the next, you can see what are the actual stages itself. Stage 1, research and analysis. Stage 2 is the final presentation. Final presentation, once you're done with the research, get the presentation also done with it. This is quite a tip. This is quite necessary for all of you who are planning to do thesis, who are getting into that phase. Do finish it off, because later you will be too busy with design, you'll be too busy to wrap it up. So finish that research, get into the site concept zoning in stage 3. 4 will be the drill, single line, double line. Okay, and pre-final stage and final stage presentation. Okay, that's this. You have to, this is the pretty much the stage wise completion for your thesis. Okay, and then basic set of those proposed drawings, mostly asked by anyone, and for you to present it enough so that your thesis is explained exactly correct, will be the following. It will be a master plan, a required structural concept, and proposed services for the mentioned buildings, everything, floor plan, section elevations, models, 3Ds, site elevation sections, aspects of it from the site, surrounding areas, and so on. Okay, when you present your master plan, make sure of a thesis master plan. Once I mentioned, when you say someone about your topic, it's the title. Once someone looks at your thesis, it's your master plan. Okay, so that is the impact that the master plan has on a thesis. So make sure you denote your building entrances, exits. These are some basic stuff, but I really thought I should mention all this. Building sciography, legends wherever required, indicating roads, the connection between them, infrastructure, ancillary facilities. Okay, all that. So that is that master plan, but with a service. Okay, with the service layout here, the electrical, HVAC supply, all the thing, electrical, water, you name it. And then this, I put a small note, as per your college requirements, this might differ as well. And a technical approval. When I say technical approval, this means structural and services for someone who specializes in this, a guide, a supervisor, a staff, whoever it is, and who, if you think you need an approval for this, because it's a little tricky in your case or things like that, it's very important. Just go for it. To get this done, because these are very important things in part of your parameters for presentation. Okay, next, final presentation stage, the final stage, which is the presentation. And I've added a line called the stage where it actually matters. That's the reason, when I say that, I mean, if you're someone who's done the thesis great right from start, it's absolutely, you've nailed it, okay? But when it comes to the presentation stage, and you're not someone who actually knows to accumulate it, put it right, present it right, talk it right, there's absolutely no point. Believe me when I say it, it is not done till it's done, okay? That's the reason I'm saying start to finish. A thesis doesn't just stop, okay, I'm done with the plan, view has come out, design has come, solve the circulation. No, it will not work. This is the stage where it actually matters, okay? So for what are the things in presentation moving forward, in the last part you can see the basics to be followed. By now most of the professional architects and graduates and undergraduate, postgraduate students, and all architect professional staffs, interns, everyone watching must know this fact, and you know how important it is in our profession when it comes to presentation, okay? But by this presentation I'm talking about sheet here, later I'll be talking about actual vocal presentation also. So in thesis, for a good presentation, some of the basics, as shown, maintain a common sheet size. Don't keep this landscape portrait A3, A1, A2, keep shifting. Fix a format, use legible fonts, readability, sheet number for your own reference, or if it is one of your deliverables. North point, I can't stress on this enough, okay? Next. Yeah, so yes, we are at the end of it. How does one prepare for the final jury? You have done all this. What happens on the day? What to do when the big day arrives? Is it just like now, if it's online or offline, no matter what it is, okay, I'm just going to present my sheet, I'm just going to pin my sheet, I'm just going to talk? Does it work like that? What happens on that final jury? This is something which is always overlooked. First thing, know it yourself, okay? Before getting into, you will have a day before you actually submit, or when your jury arrives. Before getting into the preparation of what you will actually talk to the jury or the panel or to anyone you are explaining this thesis itself, you have to recall everything from start to finish, okay, by yourself. Go through your own synopsis, your own process, your own design development stage. Understand, know it yourself. Make a note of everything necessary, and make a note of all the necessary highlights of this project, okay? Next, rehearse. Okay, by rehearse I literally don't mean, okay, this is what I'm going to say, this. No, not that rehearse, but get familiar on what and how you're going to talk, okay? Time frame your talk. This always is a problem. Personally, I have faced this a lot. Some panel members are really like, you don't have that much time, wrap it up fast, and don't put yourself in such situations. So keep handy notes, prepare yourself under a certain time frame. Thesis is a quite long thing to get it done and finished with, so it requires a certain time and you have a lot to talk, so understand that, okay? Next, we have to be confident and bold, okay? You know your topic more than anyone, and by this line I don't mean like, some might take it very this thing by just saying topic. Obviously you have research, you have done. Knowledge can be by the panel member. He'll obviously ask you things, he or she might be interested to know more, discover more, understand your knowledge behind it, but be confident to explain about this. These are things that many overlook on the day of the jury. It's just gone in thin air. It doesn't really come to reality, but these are things that people forget. So stay confident and bold. Be audible. Don't be too timid and too slow and too scared to tell things. As I said, you know your topic better. So just keep it real and keep it simple. Add a bit of humor, I must say. Not that much to be, don't get very open and things like that, here and there, okay? So there's no harm in it. When questioned about your project, yes, when you know so much about your project, the fear is, what if I don't know something? Which is obvious that there will be a point that you will not know something. Answer with everything that you know. Make it clear, this is what I know, this is what I don't, I am yet to explore this. Pretty much, guide with your hands. By guide I say guide with your hands. So tell the jury if you are sure or not sure about something. And there's something that you also must do. If there's been asked out of you, probably this happens a lot nowadays, the jury says, let me know what is this. Okay, so you can ask and come back with an answer as well. So that's even better. So this is something that you can do. Okay, then yes, if things don't go your way, uh, if things don't go your way, just tell yourself it's after all a review. Okay, don't be hard on yourself. Even if you're putting in so much effort, things might not go your way every time. It's a review. You know, you did it your all, you gave all your months, all your effort, you went through that legit process of everything, and still it didn't happen. So keep the positives and relax. You know, it's something some people might also take very, this is something that I'm telling out of some major experiences. So yeah, take it in the strive, don't really get it take it to heart and things like that. Okay, so if things don't go your way, just tell yourself it was a review. Even though if it's a thesis review, it's a review. Okay, yes, with that, your thesis is complete, start to finish. And you know, I hope from the point of selection till you come out, that journey I have managed to cover and explain you guys from the knowledge and you know, experience that I have gone through and I have seen and experienced. So hope it was useful. And yeah, thank you so much everyone. Please feel free to tell and share your feedback, questions, comments. I'm open to anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, SUMAIRAH ma'am. It was such a mind-blowing presentation, I would say, because I'm sure many of the students who have joined today, the participants, are in their final year. And this is going to be a real, very, very informative and also very good guidance for them how to carry over with your thesis as such. Because even during the sessions, I got certain messages from the participants appreciating the presentation, also whether they'll be able to get more ideas from you. So thank you so much. I'm sure it was all out of your experience that you have
Yes.
gone through in both your UG and PG theses. All the very best. Thank you so much for being a part of the session today and giving a very simple, decoded way of approaching a thesis. Thank you for that. So I now request our Dean ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks and also a few words for SUMAIRAH KAREEM.
Thank you, Professor Kavita. And SUMAIRAH, you lived up to the word. You decoded it. Fantastic. I am very sure that all the children out here totally appreciate all that you had to share. And as faculty, first as faculty, having been in your faculty, we are so proud to see you present. I couldn't stop smiling. You know, the pride that oozed out of me was like, wow, I'm proud of my child. And you completely nailed it.
Yeah.
And you've listed out everything. I'm very sure many of them are going to ask for this video to refer to. I wouldn't be surprised there. Okay. And so thank you so very much for taking so much of diligence and doing this PowerPoint. I know it is exhaustive. And you have dedicatedly given us your time and your effort and your thoughts. They're truly valuable, and we are obliged.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, audience. I hope you loved it. I think we don't have much time for questions because I'm sure she filled it all. And if you have any questions, shoot it out to us, or you could connect to her as I showed the contact or details of her as was being shared earlier. I'm sure you can connect, or you can reach us and we can help you reach her. Okay, so thank you. Let's meet again tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a very fantastic personality coming, a stalwart of architecture. I'll keep it interesting. Please do join. Another very interesting facet of architecture. Till then, bye-bye.